So the way this will impact us is it will reduce the costs of borrowing. So when we go out for general obligation bonds for things like school buildings or otherwise, because we have a higher rating, there is less risk, and therefore we pay lower interest because we don't have to compensate bondholders for a riskier investment. What that will mean is that we will have more money to go to projects like this school and less money going into the hands of investors. So you're going to see more dollars for street repavement, more dollars for sidewalk repairs, more dollars for new schools. This is the kind of way in which we're able to make a dollar go further into these long-term investments that we're making on behalf of the city.
And we're here with Mayor Brett Smiley at the Mary Fogarty School. First of all, another great day for Providence. In perhaps an underreported but incredibly compelling moment, Fitch just raised the City of Providence's bond rating up to, I believe, an A+, which I don't know, myself included, if anyone could have imagined just a couple of years ago an event like that happening. What led to that? What concrete steps did the City of Providence take that, well, there's some cities in northern Rhode Island that could learn from?
Yeah. I mean, it's a little, there was no one event other than a long-term commitment now to fiscal responsibility. It turns out when you eat your vegetables long enough, you get healthier. And that's what's happened here in Providence. If you go back to the Smiley-We administration, ever since the city has been making its full pension payment, when you go back to the Taveras administration, we've actually started to rebuild a rainy day fund. And now we find ourselves where the rating agencies are taking note. We don't make anything less than our full pension payment. We do run balanced budgets every year. We have strong financial controls. The city is well run. And this is, if we're going to talk about schools in a minute, this is sort of part of the broader story, which is this is a demonstration of how a financial responsible administration runs. Do we have the money to do everything we want to do? No. But we live within our means. We have good systems in place, and we run a tight ship.
If you're political or you're involved in city administration, the impact seems remarkably obvious. But what type of savings is the city going to see, and more importantly, then be able to rechannel its efforts into financially because of a significant move like this?
Yeah, so the way this will impact us is it will reduce the costs of borrowing. So when we go out for general obligation bonds for things like school buildings or otherwise, because we have a higher rating, there is less risk, and therefore we pay lower interest because we don't have to compensate bondholders for a riskier investment. What that will mean is that we will have more money to go to projects like this school and less money going into the hands of investors. So you're going to see more dollars for street repavement, more dollars for sidewalk repairs, more dollars for new schools. This is the kind of way in which we're able to make a dollar go further into these long-term investments that we're making on behalf of the city.
And in a time when the economy is difficult or challenging, I should say, there's often what they call a return to safety by investors. Providence is now in that elite group of cities, and quite frankly, some would say bougie municipalities. You're reaching into the elite now, aren't you?
I think it is a very safe investment to take debt from the city of Providence because we've now got a 20-year track record of meeting our obligations entirely. The era of corruption and of IOUs is in the rearview mirror. There's some long-term Rhode Islanders who remember those days, but honestly, it's been a long time since the city of Providence has been like that. And now we're starting to see the dividends of now decades of responsible hard work.
And just, I can't walk away without a question about the ongoing school budget. I'll use the term crisis. We were at City Hall this morning. Students were there. A variety of public interest groups were there on behalf of the students, all well-meaning, I believe. But at a certain point, isn't it time to them to look elsewhere in addition to the city administration for whether it be concessions in the term of employee contracts, more efficient bureaucracies, the type of work that's actually, ironically today, on the same day, brought Providence to the top tier in terms of cities financially.
Yeah, listen, I'm never going to lecture a student who's advocating for their soccer team. The kids were doing a remarkable act of civic engagement to say, our schools deserve the following things, and they're right. But I don't expect them to know the vagaries of government budgeting, and I don't expect them to be experts in financial management. That's not their responsibility. That's the adults' responsibility. And it is absolutely true. The city of Providence, in the budget year that we're in right now, made the largest increase in investment in our school system in 17 years. Not just that, since then, because of this financial crisis, we've put even more money on the table now, $2.5 million of previously unbudgeted funds that have come in since then. We have both done our part and shown that we're willing to do more than our part. The state runs the schools. We don't actually run our schools. And the students today were not outside of the State House, which is actually who runs their schools. And 80% of the school budget comes from the state, and the state should also be contributing more to the financial deficit, in addition to the fact that there's going to have to be cuts. PPSD, like the city of Providence and the state of Rhode Island, received a tremendous amount of one-time funds from the Biden administration during the pandemic. Those funds expire. We have absorbed the expiration of those funds in the city budget. The state is dealing with that right now. You've seen projections of major deficits. A lot of that is being driven by the expiration of federal funds, and the same thing's happening at PPSD. That's why when you hire full-time permanent employees with one-time funds, it's irresponsible. What do you think is going to happen? The money's going to run out. And so this will get resolved. It will get resolved with a combination of new money and cuts. And I would hope, which is why I've been calling for this financial, I would hope that the school department prioritizes don't hurt kids and teachers and families, as opposed to prioritize those things that I think are engineered to get maximum outrage, to drive a headline, and to scare the heck out of our students. That's not helpful, and it's not fair to them.
The nuclear option always seems to be cutting youth sports.
Right. And bus passes is a close second in Providence.
Right. And as opposed to, I would imagine if you go to a meeting about curriculum, crickets.
Right, or administration or consultants or many other things that would not have as direct or any impact at all on students and families.
Mayor, thank you very much.
Thanks, Pat.